Get in, lads. Part 2 of grading every Concacaf team's performance in the Copa America. If you haven't watched part 1, I'll leave the link in the description down below, so make sure to watch that. We did Canada, Jamaica, Mexico. Today, the other 3 teams, USA, Panama, and Costa Rica. First, let's start off with USA. USA. I have shared my thoughts numerous times. I think once or twice on this channel.
He has PTSD.
I have PTSD. We just recorded another video, and the PTSD struck there too. I mean, it's got to be an F. You can't give it anything higher than an F. You cannot sit there and tell me a C or a D is appropriate. F is horrible and accurate to how they did it. Andres was saying, "Can you give a grade lower than an F?"
I'm a very passionate man when it comes to my sports teams, and the last video I gave Mexico an F minus. Was that justified? Now that I'm thinking about it, when compared to the United States, no, it was not. Because at least we're in a transitional period. Everyone knows that. But this United States team's not in a transitional period. This is their golden generation. So, that being said, I'm gonna give them a G plus.
He's breaking the grading scale with this one. The USA were that bad.
They were that bad. They deserve their own category.
Scale. That's crazy.
They deserve their own category. That's what I'm gonna say.
I mean, it's so valid though. Diego, before I start talking, Diego, your letter grade.
I'll go an F. I think there's no positives here. Their only good result was a 2-0 win against a weak Bolivia team who weren't even able to train. So
someone had to say it.
So Bielsa, shout out to you, my guy. But ultimately, it was just such a poor performance, and I'm sure you're about to go on a little spiel about that, but yeah, it was just bad.
Thank you for being mentally prepared for
that 2-0 Bolivia win was not that convincing in the second half. They scored 2 goals in the first, and then they were done.
I mean, the only thing with that is no one's upset about it, and I wouldn't be upset with it. It's Bolivia. You don't have to look good against Bolivia.
No,
they could have fielded a entirely B team, and I think they would have been fine. Yeah, F. It's just G for Greg if you want. G for Greg, and that sums up my whole thoughts. There is people are saying they didn't make it out of an easy group, and I think it is an easier group. I don't think it's an easy group per se, because Panama are in the same level as Jamaica and CONCACAF, as in they are very capable of surprising anybody in the entire region. So
I get it.
I'm not fully surprised. Yeah, Panama knows what to do against CONCACAF teams, and they did it. Obviously, Panama are a very solid team and are only going to get better. So it wasn't an easy group per se.
It was an easy group.
Yet it was an
easy group.
For the USA, they without a doubt should have gotten out of it. I mean, there were shouts of some people, I don't remember if I did or not, but first place in the group. Uruguay obviously came out in the end, and Panama came out second. And the USA, you're the host of this whole damn tournament. You were the first hosts in a Copa America with a group stage to not make it out of the group stage. You know how embarrassing that is? How much of a stain that is on the USA? Yeah, it's nothing short of an F. No, the only good thing you can say is the game against Bolivia, which doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. I really think that many teams around the world can beat Bolivia.
I think every team in the Euros can beat Bolivia.
Without a doubt. I mean, every team in the Copa America could beat Bolivia. So there are literally zero good things. The only good thing I can kind of think of is Folarin Balogun had a great tournament, and he's kind of molding into the American striker that we expect him to be and want him to be. That is never mind. The other great thing that happened. I'm sorry. I completely changed what I was
forgetting it. You're forgetting it. The big G.
The big G. Triple G. Back passing, t-shirt wearing, no hair having.
Damn.
Greg Berhalter is gone.
He's been waiting to say that one.
If anything,
he's been cooking on that one. He's been waiting.
I'm changing. No, that was spur of the moment, actually. Spur of the moment. I'm changing my entire grade here to an A+. Actually, to an A+. Because their performance led to what hopefully should be the biggest change in American football, or American soccer history. No, I'm just kidding. F still. But yes, positives. Folarin Balogun. Greg Berhalter is freaking gone. For now. I'm waiting for the Matt Crocker tweet. We've rehired Greg Berhalter due to a long an arduous process of finding the new manager. But yeah, no, I am coping. It was horrible.
I think
It was
the United States as a whole took a massive L in this tournament. Not just the national team, but the hosting, especially with what the managers come out and said. Not after the tournament, during the tournament is crazy. Massive L for the United States. All overall, we're already getting. I see on Twitter we're already getting a bunch of slack for it. I'm not even a United States fan, but as a country hosting the World Cup in 2 years,
I will say there's more to it. There's more to it because CONMEBOL does do a lot of the setup. I mean, it's CONMEBOL and the USSF, like USS oversees it, but CONMEBOL sets up a lot of it. So it's not fully the USA's fault. It's just they are rightfully so taking a lot of the stick for it. Because we're hosting the World Cup in 2 years, bro.
We can't have stadiums.
What faith is there? You can't
pimped out for the tournament, and it just looks like a stadium that's a normal stadium.
You have bad venues. You have bad pitches. You have bad security. If we're going to talk about the Colombia-Uruguay game, you have terrible security. You're not picking the right cities to do these games in. Charlotte, I don't know if you guys saw the game. I think we played in Charlotte, right? The Uruguay-Colombia game, I believe.
I think so.
I believe
so.
It
was North Carolina.
And it looked really, really good. The turnout was immaculate. It was fantastic. It's not a host city for the World Cup. It's just a lot of decision making here, and not to mention one, politics. Two, I don't want to get into that part. It's just
that's a separate video.
It's a separate video, but there's a whole lot that is not that should be factored into this team's grading, which is different than any other CONCACAF team that we're covering in these two videos. There's more to it than just the team, because it's the USA as a whole, and they just did not look good as a whole. Yeah, it was just depressing. I mean, you can't. We talked about it in this most recent video for the final preview, but Colombia beat Uruguay on 10 men for most of the game. USA couldn't against Panama. You do not have to sit back against Panama and brace for an onslaught of attack against Panama. Uruguay, Argentina, Colombia, sure, whatever. Brazil, sure, fine. Do it. We do what we have to do and pray for the best, because that's all we can do against CONMEBOL teams. But Panama, you do not need to sit back and wait for Panama to attack you. You are still, with 10 men, a better overall team than Panama, and this is no shade to Panama. Panama are a great team. But you are still an overall better team than Panama. You should not be doing that, and as a result, you're out of the damn tournament. There are other factors. Jesse Marsh said it today too. Uruguay versus USA was probably the most biased officiating game ever. And I would agree. But even then, you still didn't do enough to get a goal. You can be as aggressive as you want the first 20 minutes. You can look like you want to fight, but if you don't actually fight, if you don't get a goal, then what's the point? So, F all around. I really wanted to buy a kit for this year because I really, really like the white kits that they have this year.
Can't justify it now.
You can't. I was going to. I was. Who was I talking to? I was talking to my roommate. I was like, if they win this game, if they make it out, I will buy one on the spot right now. And they didn't, so I never bought one.
That was me
I have
for
to
Mexico.
wait for the whole new cycle.
That was me for Mexico. I was gonna buy the mint colored jersey because it's not even a green; it's a mint with Edson Alvarez. And I was like, if we get out here, I'll get it. Nope.
Yeah.
I was like, that's embarrassing. I don't need to wear that shit.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, I'm not gonna wear that. Like, I'll stick to my normal kits where we actually had a good logo and badge. Hard pass now.
I like the badge now.
But
we're getting beside the point. We're getting
very embarrassing for the United States. But I'm kind of happy about it. I'm not gonna lie.
You would be happy.
Mexico gets a lot of stick, especially with the United States. Kind of taking over for the past few years. But it's kind of nice that your golden generation still is not as good as ours was. So that's kind of nice. But anyways,
I mean, and that's fair. And I'm happy you can take your wins where you want them, Andres. You take your wins where you get them.
You do the same thing too. I don't want to hear it. You do the same thing.
No shade. No shade. Desperate times call for desperate measures. That's all I'll say. Desperate times call for desperate measures. You take what you can get, brother.
We're in the dumps.
Don't worry.
We're in the dumps. Anyways.
You can almost see the tears falling from his face.
It's tough. It's tough. I just focus on West Ham. Like the international break comes up. I'm like, okay. I get a little bit hyped, and then I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Then I just focus back on the massive hammers. Right. So you know what I mean. But
all right.
But honestly, one of the worst out of all the teams that are in this tournament, the United States was one of the worst, not the worst because Mexico's up there, but a surprise you would say, and not just Canada, but would you also say Panama was also a pretty good surprise?
Holy shit!
And
What
doing
a
well.
fucking segue. Yeah, no, genuinely, they were. I mean, Panama, like I said earlier, Panama have the ability to go toe to toe with any team in this region, and as a result, they pulled out a really good tournament for them. There was no hope moving on to into the next round for them. Absolutely zero hope. But the fact that they made it into the quarterfinals anyway is good enough for Panama. I mean, I don't even know a grade. It's got to be an A, no?
I'd say
Panama
a
has
B
to
just
be
because
an
they
A.
got smacked by Colombia 5-0.
I would say A only because there was zero expectation for them to beat Colombia. I mean, zero. Colombia might win this tournament. That's why I say A. I mean, B because there isn't much room for improvement than what they did. They're not going to, based on expectations, because they're not going to beat Uruguay. They're not going to beat Colombia. So, like, for me, nothing takes away from their overall performance because they lost to those two teams. That's why I'm going to say an A.
I'm gonna go a B just because I felt like there was outside factors that possibly you could argue that helped them advance, and it wasn't just their performances they put in. You know what I mean? Refereeing bias, stuff like that. The United States underperforming. So also, and then you gotta look at like that. In reality, this group is relatively easy. Yes, you can give credit to Panama, but
not for Panama though.
No. But like in terms of like Bolivia, okay, and then you get the win against the United States. I mean, you should be going through after that. I don't know. I just felt like I feel like a lot of it was out of their hands in certain games. But and then they got smacked. But that's okay. Yeah, I still think a B. I got to give credit to them. They got the job done. They proved everyone wrong in reality, except that one bettor who probably bet on them, and it's going to be an investigation launched into that. But that's fine. But
I mean, for Panama, like I disagree with the easy group sentiment for Panama because yes, Uruguay, USA is an easy group for them, but Panama, without a doubt, the third best team is third out of four. It was not an easy group for them. I mean, and yes, there were outside factors, and they did get lucky that Tim Weah had a tantrum mid game.
That's one way to call it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it was. That's what it was. You can't be doing that on a professional stage, especially at this level in the Copa America. So yes, there were outside factors, but for them to still have gotten out of a group where they're the third best team, and I reckon 97% of fans who gave predictions for this put USA going through. They deserve the best personally. I want to say though, in our predictions video, I did briefly say Panama has a chance of going through, and nobody.
We just glazing everybody who gave predictions.
No.
Fuck.
I'm just saying when I did do it, and you can go back and watch it. You guys weren't vibing with it.
Put the clip right here. Insert it. Whoosh. Nah,
that's so much extra work. But I'll put a card. I'll put a card for you guys to watch it. I'd be like right here.
Right here. Right there.
Right here. I think right here. Yeah.
Good. Right there.
Diego, your letter grade for Panama.
I'll give them a B. I thought Panama, let's be honest, they got past the group stage, which is already a huge accomplishment for them. They faced two tough teams, Uruguay and Colombia. Both games they got beat pretty convincingly, but it's not like we expected them to put up much of a fight in the first place. It's kind of hard to just judge them and be like, oh, they didn't show up. Like, it's not like the strongest team ever, but they got a big win against the USA. They got a good win against Bolivia, and they made it into the next round. Like, come on, like they did as much as you could ask of them to do, and like honestly, I'd probably give them an A. To be honest, now I'm thinking about it, just because I think considering their situation and the context and all that, yeah, the U.S., maybe that was theirs to lose, but at the end of the day, Panama still went in there and took the win and got outs, and so you got to give them credit for that. Like, let's be honest, I don't think most people had them doing that, So, credit to Panama. They did great, and I love seeing that. I love seeing them do that. I know, obviously, they didn't go further, and they got pretty convincingly beat, but they did good. I'm with that.
Yeah, a step in the right direction is a step regardless. You could lose to Uruguay, Colombia, but nobody expected you to win that.
No,
so
no one expected.
But without a doubt, a good showing. I mean, when you think of Concacaf, unless you're a true Concacaf fan and you keep up to date with it, like you don't think Panama. You hear Panama and you think, oh, the canal. Like nobody
Yeah,
really considers
yeah.
Panama to be to be able to do anything in football, but they can, and I'm glad that they're finally showing it because I said this in the other video. Any better CONCACAF team individually makes a better overall CONCACAF, and that's what matters. CONCACAF needs competition, and for Panama to be stepping into into the top 4 or 5 of CONCACAF teams and consistently being able to provide some sort of competition against the top CONCACAF teams, that's good for the region. That's great, and we need that. We need
Yeah.
the teams to step up. We need Jamaica to start stepping in. We need Costa Rica to go back to where they were in terms of CONCACAF sense. Honduras, El Salvador, blah, blah. Once these teams can start kicking it into gear, it's going to be just better overall football and a better overall region. So good for Panama. Thank you, Panama. And I already mentioned Costa Rica, so we'll just move on to Costa Rica now.
No,
Costa Rica, B.
I'm gonna
B
give
for me?
them. I'm gonna give them an A minus.
An A minus.
A
Wow.
minus. I
An
mean,
A
look
minus,
at their
wow.
group: Brazil, Colombia, and then
Yeah.
Paraguay. I mean,
Yeah.
and they didn't finish bottom. They finished with 4 points. Okay,
It's true.
they drew against Brazil 0-0, and arguably a very good result.
Yeah.
Uh,
Great result.
Great result. And then they beat Paraguay, obviously. And then they lost to Colombia, but they looks like they might win it all.
Right.
So, but I'm gonna give them A minus because that group is tough. I mean,
It's a rough group.
if we could have a group of death, I think in this tournament it could be them. But like at the same time, everyone was kind of expecting Colombia and Brazil to go through. But I don't think anyone was expecting Costa Rica to be in the running to possibly finish second if results went their way. So I mean, I'm gonna give them an A minus because I feel like they put in when I watch their games, they put in pretty good shifts. And all their games they put in shifts. And I felt like they were a bit unlucky not to go through, just because of the way the group turned out. But I got to give props to Costa Rica. It looks like with this performance in this Copa America, despite them getting out of the group stages, I think that they're on their way back to where they were in the past.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good sign for them.
Yeah, Diego.
I agree. I think that draw against Brazil was a big result for them. Obviously, it's not like they were at any time close to winning the game, but they still got a draw. Come on, that's a point on in the results. And so they lost against Colombia, and then they beat Paraguay. So you got like a solid showing. You unlucky to get out of the group stage, and yeah, I mean, what else can you say? Another A personally, another A for them. Unlucky to not get out. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, well, I like that. I mean, Costa Rica, the result against Brazil was probably one of the most deserved to talk about, but least talked about results in this entire tournament. Nobody talks about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fair, but Costa Rica, I mean, to draw against Brazil, like, that's great for Costa Rica. Beating Paraguay, and truthfully, I don't know if they deserve to win this game. They were smacked about. Paraguay had 17 shots. Costa Rica had 2. And Costa Rica won 2-1. Like, who cares, though?
That's
All that matters is that you
ball
pull
right
it
there. That's what I love to see. I love to see that. That's my type of football right there.
They only had 172 passes in the game. You know what I'm saying? That's actually kind of crazy.
That sounds like me playing FIFA.
But Costa Rica, I mean, come on now. You're beating Paraguay. And truthfully, on paper, Paraguay should not be losing to Costa Rica. Paraguay is somewhat underrated.
Woeful tournament.
Yeah, they did. And Paraguay, I think, on paper, should be a lot better team than they are because it's Paraguay. But Costa Rica, I mean, to get 4 points in a group with Paraguay, Colombia, Brazil, fantastic. Good for Costa Rica. If only could you imagine they made it out over Brazil or Colombia? Like, that would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. But no. Costa Rica, same sentiment as the Panama game. We need Costa Rica to be doing good, and they did good. Panama and Costa Rica both had better tournaments than the USA. USA
and Mexico. All these teams
and Mexico.
USA had the second worst. Were going to do bad did well compared to
USA had the second worst. I mean, the worst 3 teams. In order from worst to fourth worst, I guess, would be Jamaica was the worst, USA was worse, was better than Jamaica, and then Mexico was better than USA. Ever so slightly.
We take those wins. Come
But the
on,
fact that
we got a harder group.
the fact that Panama and Costa Rica are two of the top 3 CONCACAF teams in this tournament. I mean, truthfully, USA, Mexico, Jamaica, and Canada, Costa Rica, Panama, I would have put the bottom 3 in the top. I would have thought those bottom 3 would have been the best teams in this tournament for CONCACAF. But
we were
no.
humbled.
Yeah, we got humbled very, very much so, and zero ball knowledge on our part. But better representation, still great representation for CONCACAF for the fact that Panama and Costa Rica did really good. Still really good representation. You can't deny that. So as sucky as it is that our teams didn't make it out, like it's still great that Panama and Costa Rica, that you can sit here afterwards and say that they had a great tournament overall.
I don't know. I'm salty. Fuck those guys.
Okay, well. That is the name of the game on this podcast. Andres.
Silly guy. Fuck those guys. Hate those guys.
Damn.
No, not really, but you know what I mean. Just for the sake of the.
Yeah.
I'm salty.
Yeah. I know, Andres. Don't worry. 2 more years. 2 years to get over it.
I got 2 years. Oh, Gold Cup too. Don't forget Gold Cup. That's next summer.
Anyways, 2 years again. Still, 2 years again. Still. Nations League, I guess.
Yeah, that's you, man. Come on.
Yeah. Gold Cup doesn't mean shit anymore. Let's be honest. Gold Cup does not mean shit anymore.
No, it doesn't. But whatever. It's cool, man.
It's okay. Cool. Anyways, we're going to end that video there. That was our second part covering all CONCACAF teams in the Copa America tournament. So if you guys enjoyed those 2 videos, make sure to watch that first one if you haven't yet. But if you have, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed our content here. And we'll do a lot more CONCACAF stuff moving forward. I know I have maybe a part 3 of the 7 Jamaica Duo Nationals. I got a Canadian 7 Duo National video plan, whatever. So if you guys want more CONCACAF content, make sure to stick around for the future and subscribe. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in future videos. And peace. Take care.